Hey, welcome to Explore HVAC and Home Services, where we uncover stories, strategies, and some secrets behind successful businesses. I'm your host, Pam Mashburn, and today we're joined by a special guest, Mike Kopp, owner of Comfort Solutions HVAC in Easton, Pennsylvania. Welcome, Mike.
Glad to be here.
Hey, tell me a little bit about you. You're not originally from Easton, but how long have you been there?
I've been in Pennsylvania now for about 10 years. I grew up on the other side of the river in New Jersey. Lived there most of my life, and we originally started the business in New Jersey, but due to taxation reasons, it kind of pushed us, and also population densities. We're like, boy, it made a lot more business sense switching over to Pennsylvania. So that's why we moved everything over, and it's been a pretty good decision so far.
So how long have you been with Comfort Solutions and how long have you been in this business?
Well, I started this business back in high school. I started in the business, not into this business. My father told me, he goes, Michael, you're not college material. I'm like, thanks, Dad.
Nice, yeah,
But
nice, Dad.
but I wasn't going to argue with him. My attention span wasn't what I would call the best in class. If I didn't like the class, forget about it. I was lucky if I passed. But so I went to vocational for 2 years in high school. I don't know how much we learned in high school. We were stupid kids. We were screwing up, but we learned the basics. We kind of got a good idea of what's going on. Then joined the Navy. 4 years. I went to their A school, HVAC school, and then I did it on an aircraft carrier for 4 years.
Wow.
So then after I got out, I went to work for a local company in the area, and I started at the bottom, as a helper, and worked my way up. I was, running install crews, managing projects, and they said, Mike, you'd probably be pretty good in the sales design arena, and I hopped on that ship, and I did that for quite a few years. And in 2007, that's when I met my business partner. That's when the housing crash happened.
I
And
remember 2007. That was
you know,
crazy time.
and the owner of the business, or that particular place I worked for, basically said, well, I don't know who I can keep, or if your numbers aren't this good. We basically got threatened with our jobs, and I didn't take threats too well, and either did Ken, my business partner. So we said, hey, let's give it a go. If what's the worst that can happen? We can go back for working for somebody. So in late 2007, 2008, and here we are.
Wow. Was that hard leaving from doing like aircraft carriers to being the assistant? Because that sounds like it was a pretty big job on an aircraft carrier.
Everything was structured pretty good in the military. It wasn't like you learned your job, but everything was a step by step. You took this card. Okay, I do X, Y, Z. You're always supervised. So it didn't seem that important at the time, but they had a system that really just ensured the job was done correctly and done right the first time, because they had a double checking system that was pretty good. And it was totally different equipment that I work. We work primarily on residential equipment now, and that was all like big chillers and things like that. And
Yeah.
it was a different type of a field.
Yeah, it's a totally different kind of job. So, but did you take some stuff from the military and apply it to what you do now?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, just simple things like learning to keep your mouth shut when you're very angry, so you didn't get thrown in the brig. You're like, okay, yep, I can take this. But it taught you to listen a lot more than just speak. Just take the whole picture and say, okay, assess the situation before you make a decision. And that has helped me immensely through life. I remember when I got out, and all my friends that I went to Votech and stuff with, and they're all making way more money than I am. I mean, I'm starting at the bottom. I'm like, damn, maybe I shouldn't have went in. But I quickly surpassed most of them. I'm like, okay, oh, you're going to mess around. I'm all business, and I'm going to advance my career, which I did.
Wow. That's
So
great. Well, I heard you say something about the processes and making sure things were right. Like, does that equate into how you train your people now? Some of
it
those,
is,
some of those lessons?
and you have to. I mean, if you don't have a process, nothing goes right. It just kind of craps out and bombs out if you don't know what you're doing. And we try to get everybody in the company do things exactly the same. Everybody has a little slight variation. We try to set up all our service vans the same and install vans the same, that these are the parts we keep. This is where we keep them. So God forbid, you know, Jim, you're out with the flu for 2 weeks or something, Bill can jump in and hop in that van and everything is exactly where it should be. Does that always happen? No, but we try to keep it pretty tight ship.
I do like having a tight ship and I like processes, but man, I think we as Americans, we really like doing it our way. Like we like having choices and changing things up. And it's really hard when you're in charge of that rebellious spirit of Americans. I find that, especially here in Alabama, we like to do things our way.
Well,
But
there's your way, and there's like we always keep an open mind. Like sometimes
mhm.
the lowest fan on totem pole, like, why are we doing it this way? Why don't we do this? I'm like, hey, that's a good idea. Let's give it a shot. Or no, this is why we do it this way. But you have to keep an open mind because there's always somebody who knows a little bit more, or maybe a lot more, that has a better way to do things. And if it makes life easier, well, why not?
Yeah, we have somebody, not me, but somebody in our office set up a rule that you need to learn our way first and then improve it. So that's
That's
like
a,
the
that's
rule
a
around here.
that's a good
But
idea.
yeah, but I think that's great. I didn't know about your military, all that military experience that you had. Um, so you guys are also a family-owned business that's
Hmm.
local. What does your identity mean in your area? Like, do you think people in your area understand the differences between a veteran-owned, family-owned business versus a private equity-owned business?
I don't know they all do. And what the local private equities are doing, they're purchasing a lot of the smaller shops or even shops our size, but they're keeping the name and they're not letting their customer base know that they're now private equity. But their service, the way they service, the way they answer the phones, or the way they take care of the customer changes drastically. And we've actually gained a lot of customers from other local companies that were purchased by private equity because they just weren't happy with the service they were getting. So I guess it's good for us.
Do they tell you that when you answer the phone or
Oh
when you
God,
go
no,
out there?
no, they don't tell you that. I mean, you mean the customers or
Yeah, the customers, should they
although
say,
the
like, do
customers
they
will.
say I wasn't happy and they didn't really couldn't put their finger on it? I was just curious.
Yes, we'll hear that. My dispatchers tell me that all the time. They're like, oh yeah, they were unhappy with company A or B or C, and they don't always know why. And they're like, I'll get an installer out there, a service tech, or a sales guy, and they'll politely inform them, well, they were purchased. The owner sold out, and they're like, oh, now that makes sense. It's corporate America.
That's interesting. How do you guys lean into, being local? Do y'all do that in some of your messaging?
Um, we do. We try, like when we advertise and we talk to people, we do have maybe a 45-minute radius from the center of our shop because you spread yourself too thin and it's just not good.
Mm-mm. Now
Because then,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, but I mean, then if you spread yourself too thin, then you can't take care of your existing customers and it's just bad for business.
Agreed. Agreed. Tell me, and one of the things I usually ask at the beginning, and I haven't done it, is how many trucks are you guys running? Are you just AC, or do you have any other services that you offer?
Well, we currently run 6 service trucks and we run uh, 3 2-man installation crews. We have uh, currently right now we have 2 service, we call them field supervisors. They go out and if say a service tech finds a problem like a leaking coil or something, they basically double check it, and they also can sell the job as well like a salesperson. And we are currently bringing on a third person for that position.
Oh, wow. That's great. So, you guys have a lot. So that's, let's see, 6, 12, like 16, 18 people. Is that about right in your shop?
That's about right.
Okay, good. So, that's a lot of people. And I hear all the time it is hard to find good people. How do you find good people?
Do you know? That's tough. We bribe our local HVAC schools, Votex. We bring them equipment we didn't sell. unused stuff, and we try to get in tight with the school teachers and
Uh-huh.
try to get the cream of the crop and get some nice young guys and train them from the bottom up. That always helps. And you will have employees who've worked at other companies and they have people they worked with that aren't happy there, and we'll try to recruit that way. And God knows, Indeed is just a blatant waste of money.
It is crazy. It's crazy. I don't want to talk about Indeed, but
No, no.
so tell me a little bit about how you get them with the schools. This is kind of new. I want to hear about this. So you give them some unused equipment. What else what does that do?
Well, my one sales guy slash field supervisor, he works with one school specifically. He actually goes there when they do their testing for NATE or other testing. He's like a proxy, um, or EPA certification testing. He'll go there and be a proxy, and he talks to the guys and he asks them, well, what do you need? And unfortunately, we have some oversupply at times, and it's just like, oh, why do we buy this equipment for? I don't know, but if it's unused or it's just sitting around the shop for a couple of years, it's like, okay, just get rid of it. We're not going to sell it. Maybe we can help the next generation of technicians training and get hands-on and get some new good people.
So when you grab those guys or recruit those guys, let me put it that way, how much training do they end up needing
Oh,
once you get there?
they do need a lot. Basically it's more about the principles and the theory, what they learn. Typically, like, say some young kid coming out of tech school, he's not really going to know how to braze very good or troubleshoot. And that's where we just start them in a slow paced. Okay, let's train them up to be not a service tech, but a maintenance technician, somebody who can go out and wash a unit, teach them on the basics on how to check capacitors and make sure there's no coil leaks and understand charging units and make sure the furnace is working correctly and all that stuff. Just low level and slowly but surely, step by step, and let them tell you how quickly they can advance too, because some are quicker and some aren't so quick, but eventually hopefully they all get there. So some don't though, unfortunately.
Yeah. Do you have certain people that you assign them to teach, or tell me how you're training your folks in it, and do you kind of keep it ongoing, or?
Well, when we bring a new technician in from school, what we'll do is, or even somebody off the street, we'll typically have them ride along with, I have three main techs I'll have them ride along with, and I'll get three different assessments. Uh, and their assessments are good. And unfortunately, not everybody makes that. I'll hear like, no, he's not going to be a good fit, and we'll let somebody go. But or we'll get assessment like he might not be the quickest, but his heart's in the right place. He's got a great personality, and that by far is the most important thing. You can have the smartest technician in the world, and if he's a jerk, I don't want him working at my company.
No jerks allowed. I got it.
Well, but you know what I'm saying? Say jerk or just not a good fit.
Or just abrasive. I mean, because that's part of the
Yes.
customer service experience, right?
Right. I mean, and if you can't effectively communicate with a customer, smile or just basic stuff and just be a good person around a customer, it's just not going to work out.
It's not going to work because the customer, they do care about them being smart, but they can give allowances for the nice guy that may have made a mistake. They're not going to give an allowance for the person that's not a nice guy. This is an off the wall question. I had somebody that was in carpet industry, and she said that they could track like the number of complaints, from customers. She said as the heat, and it was like it went parallel to the heat. So the hotter it got, the more complaints they got. Do you
Oh my
find
God.
that's true in your business too?
Absolutely. It's funny because we do heating and air. And if somebody's furnace isn't working, it's just like, oh, I'll put a sweatshirt on, I'll turn the fireplace on, I'll be fine, just get here. Boy, if their AC's down, oh my, they get angry, they get angry quick, they want service yesterday. And that can be pretty tough, like when it happens, when that crazy heat rolls in, and of course we take care of our existing, maintenance customers first, or universal savings agreement customers. And if you just called in off the street, we try like heck to get there, but you know my guys, I don't have them working past 10 o'clock at night. That's ridiculous. I know a lot of companies like 24-hour service. And you're like, you trying to kill your people? You get out there at 11 at night and you don't have a part. Well, you just wasted everybody's time. Just
Right.
get out there in the morning when you're somewhat refreshed.
Well, I find most of the people I know, they say 24 hours, but that just means they're answering the phone. And then
Yes,
they'll have somebody out there at 7 or 8.
yes, and that's true. We had the phone stays live.
Yeah. So, so which one? So you kind of talked about the vocational kids and also people off the streets. Which ones do you think have been more successful at your business?
Uh, that's a tough one. I mean, I'm going to say it's probably some of the people off the streets. We've been able to cherry pick some pretty good people from some other companies that were bought by the big evil corporations, as we call them, and they're like, "Yep, I'm not having this." And so they switch ship. So we got some pretty good talent there, but some of the young and up and comers are just like they're rock stars. I mean, my one newest guy is just like. I'm like, oh, this kid's going to be good. I just know he's going to be great. I can tell he's like a little nerdy, but everybody loves him because he's got that cute little baby face. Some people are like, is he experienced enough to do this? We're like, oh yes, ma'am, he is. So
That is funny. Yeah.
it,
Did they say when did you start hiring 14-year-olds, right?
yes, exactly. And he probably could pass for 15 or something or 16, but he's really
Well,
good. He's smart, and it's like, wow, it's great.
what do you think's the biggest driver for like, because you're seeing different generations, right? For this newer generation, what do you think's the biggest driver when they're making a decision about coming to work for you guys?
I think probably work-life balance, I guess you could say. A lot of companies, they do drive their people pretty hard, and in the busy times you have to drive them somewhat hard. But like, oh, you're on call 24/7. No, nobody's staying awake. Nobody's going to be like, oh, I fell asleep at 3 in the morning. Don't fire me. No, that's just we don't expect that. We don't offer that to our customers. 10 o'clock, it's shut off. And even if you call at 10 o'clock, the odds are we're not coming out at night at 10 o'clock at night. That's just ridiculous, you know. But we're going to take care of our employees, because without employees, there's no company. Nobody's getting serviced or satisfied or getting their problems taken care of.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You've really, we kind of look at that and we kind of here at Explore Media, we try to balance like a triangle, the customer, the team, our internal team, and then also just the business. Like we've got to be profitable or there's no business. We've got to have
Right,
clients or there's no business. And if, with no business or no clients, we don't have a team. So
right.
it all has to balance out. Um, so how long have you guys been in business?
Uh, at the end of 2007, we started business. In 2008, we actually LLC'd the company. So officially, that's our LLC date. But so that like
18
18 years,
years?
18 years.
Yeah, that's great. Well,
So
we're 20 years. So that's why I was able to do the math real quick. So, well, that's really great because that was a tough time, 2008. There were a lot of businesses that went out of business during that
there,
time.
app, there was, but it helped us out because it was just me and Ken and maybe another two guys. But from our experience, we always sold the company as like we're a much larger company than we were. We talk about our team. Like I'd go out and sell a job like, oh, when the team gets here, they're going to do this and this. Then I'd go out and put the job in. They'd look at me like the team. I go, well, I'm part of the team. I'm here.
The
We do it
team's
all.
busy.
but that's what and we knew that people were afraid to buy from if you sound like a startup company or a one trucker. People didn't want that, so you had to make like, oh, how many years you been in business? Well, I've been in the business for, you know, not lying to them or deceiving them, but
Right.
that is that is one good thing about the company. We do
Right.
have a lot of overall experience between all our employees that really helps us out tremendously.
Well, you have manifested it for sure because you're a lot bigger company than you were in 2008. So you've really grown. What do you think has been the biggest driver for that? Because I mean, you had to go through a bunch of different stages to get to here.
I'm not gonna say laziness, but I'm not a spring chicken. I'm 62, and uh, Ken, he's 55 this year, so he's not. He's a little bit lot younger than I am, but still, we didn't want to be out there doing the physical work and doing everything. And you can only make so much, revenue doing that. So that's where like, okay, we need to get some teams and processes in place to better take care of the customer. And we've managed, but of course, like everybody else I talk to in the business, one of the hardest things is finding good people to work for you, people you can trust that's going to take care of your customers like you would.
Yes. Yes. So how hard was, so it sounds like it wasn't that hard to get you to get you out of the day to day, but you look like a guy that's got his hands on the pulse. So tell me how it is being a leader in your organization. How did you make that switch? Because I have a lot of folks that I work with, and they're in the thick of it. It's hard for them to run a business because they are, trying to install systems and manage people and keep trucks full. And so, what's some of your secrets? Oh, I need to have secrets.
Secrets. Well, you know what? The old adage is like, are you working in your business or are you working on your business? And in the old adage of, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. So you have to make change. You have to embrace change all the time. Uh, Things like AI, if that's something that can make your life that much easier without losing customers, you need to embrace it. I know we've switched to some backup answering systems on it for high volume times, but don't be afraid to change. Uh, we meet with some local contractors that we meet usually once a month, and we have breakfast with these other owners, and we share secrets like, hey, what's working for you? What's not working for you? You know, how you doing? What are you seeing? So, you know, speaking with other people in the industry and helping each other out is just been fantastic for us as well.
So these other contractors are HVAC contractors or other trades?
No, they're HVAC in our
Oh,
area. We
wow.
compete, and we compete against some of them. We laugh. Sometimes they get us. Sometimes we get them. But at the end of the day, is I could, be in a bad spot and like, oh my God, what am I going to do here? I could call one of them up. Have you ever seen this before? And like, oh yeah, yeah. You just do this, this, and this. And I've helped them. They've helped me, and it's good. You're better off with friends in the business rather than enemies.
I love that. Um, Better off with friends. Yep. And a little healthy competition is okay between friends, right?
It absolutely is, and it's not my competition. It's my salespeople against their salespeople, and they'll complain about, oh, they dropped their pants on this price, or then you'll hear the same thing about us, and we'll laugh, like, whatever. Next.
Next. Well, so tell me about your AI. So you're using some AI answering services. How's
Hmm.
that going? And what do your clients think about it? How's the response?
I
Can they
don't really.
tell? Sometimes you can't even tell.
Well, we let them know. This when the answering service. This is uh, Joan or whatever the name is. They give them and say, I'm your something. Your virtual assistant. I can help you with most of the thing at any time you don't want to speak with me. Press blah 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 for a real person. So, and most people. I mean, I was amazed listening to them. Like, and of course I tested it a few times. I'm like, wow, that's good. That's just really good. And not just with our company, but the whole industry, any industry, service industry, or anything in life. I'm like, wow, that's really good. I'm surprised at how good a lot of these AI answering systems are. And
Yeah, I had one at Papa John's, and it took me a while to figure it out, you
Mhm.
know. So, because they even had the background noise, like they were playing.
Pots and pans in the background.
Yeah. So, let's talk a little bit about culture at Comfort Solutions. What do you guys do to, I mean, you talked about work-life balance. Are there some other things that you do with your guys to make sure that they understand like the culture and what you guys expect, whether it's, team building stuff, but also just, your expectations. What are some things that you guys do?
Well, I'm typically in the shop every morning getting the guys off to, like for installation department, they're all taking off their trucks loaded full of equipment, try to go over their jobs, and we try to laugh a little bit, have some fun. I mean, if you hate your job, nobody wants to work at a place like that. But we got to do have to keep them in a straight and narrow too. It's like, hey, look, this is what's expected from you. You know, I expect high quality work. You're paid very well. The customer expects high quality work, and take pride in it. I mean, that's something that it's tough. We've had some employees that we hired off the street, or they said this, said that. We checked, and they're like, okay, and boy, they just didn't meet standards. And one guy lasted 2 weeks, one guy lasted a week. And I'm like, yo, you lied. Your quality's horrible. Just horrible stuff. And sometimes you just got to go through a lot of people before you get good people. But once you get the good people, they mesh pretty good. It's like a herd mentality. If there's a problem with one person, the herd will let me know that, like, yeah, they got to go.
Oh, wow.
And
I love that. Yeah, because they want to be around people seeking excellence too, right?
And they want to be around like-minded, good people.
Mm-hmm.
Life's too short. Nobody wants to work with a person they're not happy with.
I like that, like-minded, good people. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit. We've talked about this before, that about preventative maintenance. And a lot of people, homeowners, will say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let's not mess with it, But you guys really put a lot of value in tune-ups and maintenance. How do you get that across to your clients?
Yeah, and that's so tough. Like, we try to equate it to a car. Like, well, if you don't change the engine in your car, well, your engine's going to blow up, and they're not going to honor the warranty. And as a business model, maintenances and tune-ups and uh, contract customers, and we don't. It's not like it's a big money maker. But what it does do is it lets us catch the little problems before they turn into big problems. So here it is, early April, we went to do a tune-up on somebody's air conditioning system. It could still be under warranty, and lo and behold, the coil's starting to leak. Well, we check every coil to make sure everything's going good. You're like, oh no, you got a leak in your coil. And you tell the customer, like, well, you have the parts and labor warranty. This really isn't going to cost you anything but $69 for us to come back with a new coil. But we caught it before the crazy hot temperatures rolled in. And it's really about finding the problems before they turn into big problems. And, like something as simple as a dirty coil, you can lose 30-40% of your cooling efficiency and also damage the compressor. Mm-hmm. It's just, I try to tell people, like, if you're driving around with a clogged radiator in your car because it's all full of bugs and stuff, it's going to overheat your engine. Your overheated engine, it's going to have a shorter lifespan. So instead of getting 200,000 miles, maybe you get 80,000 miles.
Well, I think for a lot of people, including myself, knowing that I can prevent a breakdown is really important, because it usually happens on a holiday when I have 10 people coming over. So
absolutely. I mean, that's like, I remember one Christmas Eve, probably like, had it been like 20 years ago. There it is. No, it was the day before Christmas Eve. Everybody was coming to my house for a Christmas Eve family thing. And don't you know, my refrigerator just dies. It couldn't have died the day after Christmas or something like, no, the day before everybody's coming over. I just called up. I got lucky. I called up, I think, a local Lowe's, and I'm like, do you have a refrigerator? I gave them dimensions, like, oh, we have one in stock. We can be there in an hour and put it in. I'm like, oh my God. Sometimes you get lucky. And
yeah, you got lucky. You
got really lucky.
And somebody said, I got to sell one more refrigerator before I get my Christmas bonus.
And they're like, oh, yeah, and you're getting this discount. I'm like, discount? Hell, I'm just glad you're putting it in,
That's funny. I know. Well, it is interesting. I think we're getting away from a society of fixing things. We are definitely in a society of it gets used up and we dispose of it. Like phones. So many things become disposable. Yeah, so many things are disposable. It used to be everybody fixed everything.
Washer and dryer, 7 years if you're lucky.
Let me just ask you this. What's the biggest lesson that you've learned that you could impart to other HVAC owners? Like, what's the biggest, or especially a person just starting out, what's some good lessons or tips that you would give them about running a business?
I have to laugh because my business partner Ken would say, well, if you're just starting out, expect to work twice as hard and make half as much money as if you work for somebody.
and not getting into it.
But it's the truth. But if you can endure the pain, it will pay off, right? If you're lazy, don't forget about it, because then you're just going to get what you put into it. It's that simple. And once you get to a certain size, you can only do so much work yourself. You have to surround yourself by good people and people you trust, and trust in them that they're going to do a good job. If they don't, well, you fire them.
Any tips on firing people?
Oh, it was really hard when we first started. Don't hire your friends. That's really tough. Especially when your friend's doing a bad job, you're like, oh no, I got to fire my friend. Stay away
I
from
had to fire a friend. Yeah.
stay away from that scenario. Um, and rip the Band-Aid off, because if that person you have to fire is going to do more damage than good. Like, well, I'll just hold on to him until the cooling season's over, because who else is going to run those service calls? Yeah, if you know that person's not a good fit, just get rid of them for you and them. Let them move on. Maybe they can learn a lesson from this.
What about the actual firing? What tips do you have? Because I find people know, but they're not sure how to do it. Like they're just not sure that. I think the fear of firing someone and going through the actual act of it keeps a lot of people from doing that. Do you have any tips on that?
Yeah, that's hard. No, that's a definite fear. Um, when we first started doing it, it was really tough to do it. But I guess the more you do it, the easier it comes, and that's where you just have to say, pull the Band-Aid off, have a list, and you don't have to give them just good reasons why you're firing them. Say, hey, look, we need to talk. This just isn't working out. I don't think you're a good fit for us. I don't think we're a good fit for you. We're going to be letting you go. And you conduct an exit interview with them. I'm going to need X, Y, and Z back. And it's tough. I had to fire my son.
Oh,
That was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. He felt entitled. He's a good technician, but he got lazy. So I fired him. Uh, 2 years later, my business partner hires him back. Said, okay, because he's very likable, but his ugly side came out again. An ugly side, but he just didn't fit company culture, and let him go again. He's doing good now. I mean, he's working. He just didn't like the whole on-call and the service type stuff, so he's working for a local supply house, and just
and that's a better fit. Probably
he
good for your relationship too.
it really is too. So, but that is tough, and you'll lose sleep over the night before thinking, oh, I gotta let so and so go, especially if they're a nice person,
Right.
But they're a nice person, but they just don't have the tech.
Right.
They just can't do this. I had my wife's son working for us, and because he needed a summer job, and he was going to go to Votech and stuff and he started a little Votech class, and he just wasn't mechanically inclined. Good kid, just I love him to death, and you just watch him hold a wrench, and he's like, it's just like, oh no. And thank God my business partner Kenny drug him and said, Justin, you need to go back to college. The mechanical field's probably not for you. And he went back to college, and he's working for United Healthcare. He's making big bucks.
That's awesome.
But he still tries to do his own stuff all the time, and around his house. He bought a house, so he's doing good. And but it's tough. It's just tough. But the more you do it, and you have to look at the reasons how you're helping the company, because, like I said, that bad apple will sour the bunch. It'll make everybody's life miserable, not just yours.
It
And
really
your
does.
customers. If you make customers angry, then it's just affecting everybody around you.
Yeah. Oh, well, and it affects your clients, affects your team, affects your business.
Hmm.
Well, just so you know, I had a son that got fired too. My office manager fired him because he wasn't getting back to her like he was supposed to. So it was a summer job. But you know what? I thought that was really healthy. He's still mad about it. It's okay. Okay. He came back and worked a couple of summers ago and he was fine. But sometimes there's maturity there, but I, ju- I've had to fire a friend and that sucked. I think I'm allowed to say that on this podcast, right? Yeah. Okay. But it's hard. It's hard. I think the thing I learned about firing people is you don't have to be angry at them to fire them. And
No, I mean,
I think a lot of people feel like they got to get angry. And I'm like, I really like the last person I fired. I said, man, I really like you. Like, you're funny. I like you. Like, I just think you're a great person. But this is not your gifting. This is not what you're called to do. And
no.
so Um, that I think that's the big difference is if you can let them go without it affecting you emotionally, and
Right.
you're
And you
right.
have to
Those
just,
first ones were awful. I'd lose sleep over them.
yeah, it's at this point, it's a business decision. It's nothing against you personally. It's just like, it's just not working out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you look at Comfort Solutions, it's been 18 years. I'm going to kind of end with this question, but what are you most proud of when you look back on these 18 years?
Uh, how our reputation of taking care of our customers, um, and building nothing into something. I remember I would sit back when we first started. We had maybe one van, then we had two vans. I'd look at our parking lot. We rented a place we really couldn't afford. I'm like, one day this parking lot's going to be full of vans. I'm like, it is. I got, you know, vans, pickup trucks, and we have a whole team. And I'm like, okay, we envisioned it and it happened. And you have to put it in your head. I went years ago. I went and saw this one guy, Wally. He's a business coach for HVAC and all this. He does all these crazy systems. But one thing he did teach me is like, write it down, put your plans down, envision your future in your head, or print a picture of what you want. And if you put these things in your head, they just come to be, and they do. You can't help not but be successful. So it's worked.
Yeah, you guys did do some vision casting and it has worked. I mean, y'all are doing great. And I love that you said you built nothing into something and it is something and you guys are doing a great job. We enjoy working with you guys and you're doing all the right things. Um, hey, I just want to thank you, Mike, for joining us today. It was
You're welcome.
really learned a lot. I just think it's so great to see hard work pay off. And, I hope I hope you guys learned some stuff today. Um, and I think he's had an incredible journey, some really great, valuable advice. To our listeners, hey, thanks for tuning in. Remember to subscribe for more insights, stories, and tips from our leaders in the HVAC and home services space. And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep exploring. Thank you so much, Mike.